Hello and welcome everyone on this official platform of Legacy IS Academy. So today in this session we are going to discuss the issue of Manipur. Ji haan. And in this session we are going to discuss each and every perspective of Manipur society. Now there is one article that is Manipur's conflict run deeper than the headlines. Ji haan. Now, how? It is not just about the Meitei versus Kuki-Zo. Manipur chaos is rooted in land autonomy as well as loop-sided power structure that has long ignored the tribal rights. So, hidden in the misty hills of northeast India lies a simmering conflict the world has barely noticed. So, a land of stunning beauty, Manipur, is now scared by deadly struggle over land, identity, and power. But this is not just a local clash, it is a mirror to the global fault lines between the majorities and minorities, plains and hills, settlers as well as the natives, state power as well as the tribal autonomy. So what if I told you that in one of the India's most strategic border states, constitutional promises lie broken, democracy is twisted, and ancient communities are fighting for their survival against the erasure, against the silence, and against the very system that meant to protect them. So in this video, we are going deep, not just into what, but the why behind the Manipur conflict. So you will learn how land autonomy, migration, and state power form an explosive mix, and how this hidden crisis could reshape India's northeast and possibly South Asia's geopolitics. So stay with me till the end because this is more than just a regional right. This is the story of betrayal, resistance, and the fragile fabric of federalism. So, curious about this untold stories which is shaping our geopolitics as well as Indian politics. So, you are in the right place if you are passionate about uncovering the global events as well as understanding their impact. So, make sure subscribe to Legacy IS Academy channel to stay updated with our latest insights. Like this video if you find it informative and share it with friends who value staying informed. And also comment below with your thoughts because we love hearing from you. So let's explore the world complexities together. So today in this video, I am going to unpack the deep structural, historical, political complexities of the Manipur conflict that is far beyond the surface level narrative that called as Meitei versus Kuki-Zo conflict. Now, first thing that we need to understand what is the root of the conflict, that is land autonomy and power. तो अब सवाल ये उठता है what is the root of the conflict? So first important thing is territorial anxiety. जी हाँ, territorial anxiety. Now try to understand. Meiteis, they see the hills as vital for their ecological survival as well as expansion, and that is why reinforcing a staunch desire to preserve Manipur's territorial integrity. अब इसी के साथ ही साथ हिल ट्राइब्स का पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है? Hill tribes like Kuki-Zo. So for Kuki-Zo and other tribal groups, the hill valley dichotomy has long been a site of marginalization. They have been denied meaningful autonomy, and this fueling their demand for a separate administration. Third important thing here is power imbalance in this region. A power imbalance kaise? Now try to understand, although tribes constitute around 41% of the population, but they hold only 20 of 60 assembly seats. ट्राइबल्स की पॉपुलेशन कितनी, इट इज अराउंड 41% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन, बट दे होल्ड ओनली 20 out of 60 assembly seats, while Meiteis dominate 40 seats. Meiteis कितने पे dominate करते हैं, 40 seats पे. So this disproportionate representation reflects the systematic structural bias. जी हाँ, this reflects the systematic structural bias. Now apart from this, what are other issues like legal and constitutional backdrop? अब लीगल और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बैकड्रॉप क्या है, सो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग ऑल्सो. फर्स्ट इज अनइक्वल लीगल फ्रेमवर्क्स. जी हाँ, नाउ मणिपुर वैली इज गवर्न्ड बाय मणिपुर लैंड रेवेन्यू एंड लैंड रिफॉर्म्स एक्ट. मणिपुर वैली किस तरीके से गवर्न होती है, दिस इज गवर्न्ड बाय मणिपुर लैंड रेवेन्यू एंड लैंड रिफॉर्म्स एक्ट ऑफ 1960. दिस एक्ट अलाउ ओपन लैंड ओनरशिप. ये एक्ट क्या अलाउ करता है, ओपन लैंड ओनरशिप. नाउ इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट टू दिस, हिल एरियाज ऑपरेट्स अंडर द कस्टमरी एंड ट्राइबल फ्रेमवर्क. हिल एरियाज जो हैं वो ऑपरेट करते हैं कस्टमरी एंड ट्राइबल फ्रेमवर्क्स में, येट ऑफन विदाउट रियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव और डेवलपमेंटल पावर. Apart from this, weak implementation of autonomy. अब कैसे weak implementation of autonomy? That is Article 371C. जी हाँ, आप सभी ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में पढ़ा होगा आर्टिकल 371C. Apart from this, hill areas committee. So article, now weak implementation of autonomy, how Article 371C and the hill areas autonomy, which were meant to safeguard the tribal autonomy, but in practice hill areas committee has been politically sidelined. hill areas committee को हमेशा से ही politically sideline किया गया है. Now with this there is one more issue, that is sixth schedule demand. Now what is sixth schedule demand? Tribal groups, especially Kuki-Zo, they have consistently demanded sixth schedule status to institutionalize their autonomy, similar to the provisions in Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, but they have faced stiff resistance from the Meitei leadership. तो जब भी उन्होंने मांग की है तो Meitei leadership की तरफ से रेजिस्टेंस हुआ है. Clear? So these are some important issues, that is legal and constitutional. Clear? Apart from this, there is development disparity. Now development disparity कैसे? First is decades of neglect. Basic infrastructure ही नहीं, एक बहुत ही अच्छी बुक है, as you can see here, Infrastructure Development in Manipur. Every student should read this book. Now there is a decade, or you can say decades of neglect, like basic infrastructure in hill roads, healthcare, education system remains abysmal. Now development funds disproportionately benefit the valley only. Apart from this, administrative marginalization. Now how administrative marginalization? Even decisions like file transfer to the autonomous district councils routinely blocked. This show that how centralized the Meitei control is in Manipur. Clear? So this is also one of the most important issue. Apart from this, politics of numbers and representation here in Manipur, this is also very important. Now how politics of numbers and representation. So first thing is census versus political reality. Now try to understand, while Meitei claim their dominance via demographic statistics, census data does not reflect the tribal population accurately. Census data में tribal population को accurately नहीं show किया गया है, especially with many Nagas and Kukis who are residing in the valley but excluded from hill area classification. Apart from this, population and seat allocation disputes are also there. Even if tribal population is conservatively pegged at 41.2%, it logically demands 25 seats, not the current 20. So the reduction in seat reallocation from 5 to 3 due to political objection, this highlights the ongoing denial of proportional representation in Manipur. Okay. Apart from this, with this, another issue is intra-tribal and historical tensions. Now, what are intra-tribal and historical tensions? So, as you can see here, Naga-Kuki rivalries. Ji haan. The history of land conflict between Naga, particularly NSC and IM, Nationalist Socialist Council of Nagaland, is at Muvaiya. They bagged Tangkuls. Okay. तो अब यहां पर एक चीज समझिएगा, तो ये जो हिस्ट्री है नागा कुकी राइवलरीज की, दिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द हिस्ट्री ऑफ लैंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन नागास, पर्टिकुलरली नेशनलिस्ट सोशलिस्ट काउंसिल ऑफ नागालैंड इज आगमोविया. दे बैग्ड तंकुल्स ट्राइब एंड कुकीज एड अनदर लेयर. नाउ एनएससीएन, दैट इज नागालैंड जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, एनएससीएन आईएम. So NSC and IM neutrality in the 2023 violence is strategic. It pursues its own statehood, that is Nagalim, which is opposed by Meiteis. Apart from this, minor tribes influx. So बहुत सारे minor tribes have groups like Kom, Maring, Chiru, all these small groups, all these small minor tribes, they navigate between the major ethnic blocks, which is vulnerable to co-option and exploitation in the broader power issues, or you can say tussle. Okay. Apart from this, migration as well as illegal narratives. Now, how migration and illegal narratives? So let's try to understand about the migration and illegal narratives. तो सबसे पहली चीज, myth versus census data. जी हाँ, Meitei claims of demographic invasion by Kuki migrants from Myanmar are disapproved by historical census data. अब Meiteis क्या कहते हैं? Meiteis क्या कहते हैं? They claim that demographic invasion by Kukis migrant from Myanmar, they are disapproved by the historical census data, and this shows modest organic population growth over a century. Apart from this, weaponization of migration narrative. Instead of humanitarian refugee management, the state used these illegal migrant rhetoric to delegitimize the Kuki presence and fan resentment. Apart from this, there are other issues like responsibility and blame game भी काफी ज्यादा है मणिपुर में. अब कैसे responsibility and blame game? So let's try to understand. Failure of tribal leadership. जी हाँ. Now tribal MLAs, they are criticized for their inaction and the silence during this मार्जिनलाइजेशन ऑफ देयर कम्युनिटीज, कि वो कुछ कहते नहीं है, ट्राइबल लीडरशिप कुछ कर ही नहीं रही है ना, ड्यूरिंग द मार्जिनलाइजेशन ऑफ देयर ओन कम्युनिटीज. देन सेंटर्स नेग्लेक्ट. नाउ यूनियन गवर्नमेंट इज आल्सो कल्पेबल फॉर इकोनॉमिक नेग्लेक्ट एंड वीक ओवरसाइट एज वेल एज फेलिंग टू अपहोल्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल सेफगार्ड. देन अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, valley-centric governance. The persistent resistance from the Meiteis political elites to decentralized power lies at the heart of emotional and political disintegration. So, ये सारे reasons हैं जिसकी वजह से याद रखिएगा different tribes में एक तरीके का गुस्सा भरा हुआ है गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ, नीति कंट्रोल के खिलाफ. So overall, if we see these things, so Manipur, so this issue is important with respect to the society of Manipur, and so Manipur burns not just from the flames of violence, but also from the slow erosion of trust in the laws, in the promises, in coexistence, as constitution guarantees like Article 371C. Now, this Article 371C gathered dust, while Hill Areas Committee, meant to be the voice of the hills, is left powerless. Tribal communities, they caught between the memories of autonomy and the reality of neglect. Now the demand is more than the right, and they demand recognition. But here is the chilling question. If this can happen in democracy under the constitutional safeguards in the world's largest republic, who is really safe then? This is not just about Manipur. This is about every community that dares to challenge the power, every region that fights to be heard, every voice that refuses to be erased. So, what do you think? Is this a failure of federalism or unraveling of a deeper colonial legacy? So, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's build awareness, not just outrage. If this story moved you, share it, because silence is complicity. And Manipur deserves to be seen, to be understood, and most of all, to be remembered. So justice, अब यहां पर एक मैं बेंजामिन फ्रैंकलिन को कोट करना चाहूंगा, justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are. ये कहा था बेंजामिन फ्रैंकलिन ने. Clear? So this is the issue of Manipur. I hope this much is clear to all of you. Thank you so much.